Today, especially in honor of our great veterans on Veterans Day, we pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, that lie and steal and cheat on elections and will do anything possible. They'll do anything, whether legally or illegally, to destroy America and to destroy the American dream.
Over the weekend, former President Donald Trump suggested that the left, including communists and Marxists in America, are vermin and enemies in America. Of course, he attacked his political enemies and used the kind of rhetoric that some would say you should be careful and avoid using. He doubled down on Truth Social, saying that in honor of our great veterans on Veterans Day, we pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, lie, steal, and cheat on elections, and will do anything possible, whether legally or illegally, to destroy America and the American dream. What stood out to me about the video that we opened this segment with was the muted response from his supporters. Using rhetoric like that, you would assume that they would go wild and crazy and love it, but they didn't, which was good to see, to say the least. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know the relative excitement of that crowd on other topics.
Right.
But okay, look, this is super dangerous, as usual with Donald Trump. Vermin is a very specific word. It's in the teleprompter. Why somebody wrote that, so it was, they did it with forethought. They did it consciously. They wanted to use the word vermin, which is kind of an unusual word to use. And yes, it is the exact word that fascists used both in Italy and in Germany. So this is now, how many times in a row? It's kind of weird that they're trying to tell us that they're fascist. I don't know if it's someone inside the Trump team that's like sending out an SOS or something, because earlier Trump had said immigrants are poisoning the blood of our nation, which is also a very specific Nazi quote that literally no one else uses. And so this is, and Hitler also talked about the enemies within, and you have to target them and you have to root them out. And then when asked about this, Trump's team responded with, we're going to crush their existence, about the left. So they're saying, yeah, you're not wrong. This is what we're doing. What are you going to do about it? And right now, the Democrats aren't doing much about it because he's leading.
Well, they're a little distracted right now, aiding and abetting the slaughter of Palestinian civilians in Gaza. But let's get back to this story. Ronna McDaniel, who's the head of the Republican National Committee, was asked about Trump's comments. Let's hear what she had to say.
Are you comfortable with this language coming from the GOP frontrunner?
Again, I am not going to comment on candidates and their campaign messaging. I will say this, I know President Trump supports the veterans, our whole party supports our veterans, and I do think we're at a very serious moment in our country.
Well, former Republican lawmaker Liz Cheney didn't take kindly to Ronna McDaniel just deflecting and refusing to answer the question. When GOP chairwoman refuses to condemn the GOP's leading candidate for using the same Nazi propaganda that mobilized 1930s, 1940s Germany to evil, it's fair to assume she's collaborating. History will judge Ronna McDaniel and every Republican who is appeasing this dangerous man. Naturally, Trump's campaign has responded in their usual way. You've got Stephen Chung, who is the campaign spokesperson for Donald Trump, saying, those who try to make that ridiculous assertion are clearly snowflakes, grasping for anything because they are suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, and their entire existence will be crushed when President Trump returns to the White House, thus proving the point that the critics are making about the use of the word, the vermin word and the rhetoric that Trump used during that speech.
No, they're trying to tell us, look, man, it's not like we didn't warn you. We used exact fascist terminology that almost no one else uses. And then when asked about it, we said, yeah, we're gonna crush their existence. How much clearer did they need to be? And let alone the fact that Donald Trump has already had dinner with Nazis. He said there's very good people on the Nazi side. How much clearer did he have to be? Currently, the Democrats are losing to him. Okay, and I'm just gonna say one random thing about Ronna McDaniel because it bothered me. She said, no, I'm not gonna comment about that, but you know that the Republicans love veterans. Wait, we weren't asking about veterans. We were asking about the lunatic thing that Trump said on Veterans Day. It has nothing to do with anything. You see this needless, like the silly sophomoric distraction there. But by the way, is it true that Donald Trump likes veterans? Not at all. He once asked New York City to clear out veteran vendors from in front of his building. He said they were ruining the name of the street that he was on by being there and bothering him. And then of course his charity had to pay back veterans charities for ripping them off. This guy's a disgusting guy who never cared about veterans, let alone the fascist propaganda he's purposely using over and over again.
Absolutely. All right, do you want to get into violence and who perpetrates it? Or should we wrap it up and move on?
In terms of the terrorist stuff?
Yeah, like who commits more violence in the country? Look, if you're talking about politically motivated violence, according to the statistics in recent years, it's carried out by right-wing extremists in the country, okay? It's obvious, I'll give you the numbers in just a moment. But I think there's a side of this that can help you understand why conservative voters think that the left is supportive of violence, okay? I think that we're talking past each other and I'll explain what I mean in just a moment. So let me give you the details, okay? So in another point during his rally speech, Trump talked about growing threats of violence in America and pinned it on a very specific political group. Let's watch.
I will immediately restore and expand the Trump travel ban on entry from terror-plagued countries, which was a big thing. You know, we had no terror during my administration. The only terror we had was Nancy Pelosi, who's a crazed lunatic. She's a lunatic. She is a crazed lunatic. What the hell was going on with her husband? Let's not ask. Let's not ask. I'll withdraw that statement. By the way, she's got a wall around her house. Obviously, in that case, it didn't work very well, did it? It didn't work.
So he's making light of the fact that a lunatic attacked Nancy Pelosi's husband with a hammer. He got hit over the head with a hammer. And look, regardless of where your political loyalties lie, you shouldn't be supportive of, or you should never make light of violence, period. I would not in any way support violence against people I disagree with politically. We're supposed to live in a country that dukes things out at the ballot box, not through violent acts. And here you have Trump totally minimizing that brutal attack against Nancy Pelosi's husband. I've got no love for Nancy Pelosi, but again, that kind of violence is unacceptable. There he is making light of it.
No, he's a monster, guys. Paul Pelosi got smashed over the head with a hammer. And he's like, what's going on with the husband? He's egging on a conspiracy theory that how the Trump fan that nearly murdered the guy was somehow his lover or something. The lunatic, totally mental asylum conspiracy theory, okay? And then Trump's like joking around about it, like he had it coming. He's joking about how his political opponent's husband was smashed in the head with a hammer. What kind of a monster does that? And Matt, look, I don't even want to put this thought into the world, but I have to do a comparison. Imagine if some psycho smashed Melania's head in with a hammer, and Joe Biden was joking about it.
No, it would be outrageous.
What's going on with Melania? What's going on with Melania? I bet she had it coming. Their walls didn't work. A crazed lunatic does that. The Republicans, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? This guy's joking around about a guy who nearly murdered Trump's political opponent's husband. And you think that's okay? That's not okay. This guy screams fascist in everything he does, everything he says. We cannot let is he gonna joke around more? Guys getting smashed in the head with his crazed supporters? Ha 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 ha, so funny. And if you think that's funny, there's something wrong with you, you're sick.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.